All right, you guys, I think I'm live. I don't know. I'm going to move my... why did I do this on a delay? Yeah, okay. Live. Let's see. I'm going to study a little Farsi today because it's topical and really trying to get back into it. But my stream settings here are not actually showing up. And I may have to restart this if nobody's here. If you're here, say hello. Now I see me on a delay. Okay. So you'll be here. All right. I see the David is here. I see others. It looks like on my screen that you are seeing something that actually looks real. It looks very weird in my OBS studio, but what can you do? All right, I'm going to get everything set up. I'm going to do a really quick one today because I have other things to do. But I am going to study a little Persian. And what I'm going to do is something that's a little bit smarter because some of you may recall that I studied Persian for a few months off and on live stream, probably a couple of years ago at this point. And I did not learn Persian all that well. I know some of it's rattling around in there because I saw something recently where a guy was a non-Persian guy, is like a Persian woman and American guy, and he was with family, and the guy brings him tea, and he goes, "Das it not going." I'm like, I know that one. So something's still rattling around. I see comments there like, you are in fact live. All right, so greetings to everybody. I'm on this AI kick, as some of you know. Now, first of all, I do want to be very clear. If you, there's like 900,000 ways that you can misuse LLMs, and I do not encourage any of that. So, like, if you're talking to it for therapy, don't do that. If I read an article today about somebody who committed suicide because he was talking, he just got in too deep with Gemini, thought it was his girlfriend, like divorced his wife. It's a whole thing. Don't do any of that. But what I want to do, which is actually quite amazing to me, is build out an Anki deck using a textbook that I bought and really like. So some of you may remember I used the Routledge Colloquial what did I use? The Routledge Colloquial Farsi. Maybe they say Persian. And it was amazing. So I'm just making sure that I get everything lined up where you see all the stuff that you might like to see and none of the stuff that I don't really want you to see. So let's see. Let me get my little screen and share thing. This should be good. So you can see I was using the Routledge Colloquial Persian. There's another edition out that's great. I'll probably drop a link in the description at some point. This is probably even described as the wrong thing, so I'm gonna have to fix it on the on the post on the replay. Hi everybody. I see ni hao. Ni hao. Not doing that today, but we'll get there. So this is Colloquial Persian. I used it probably, I don't know, it might be 2 years ago at this point, and thought it was a fantastic resource, but I failed to actually learn. And this is before I really dug into sort of what I was doing wrong. So I'd hit on some things. I was using audio. I was like slicing and dicing in Anki. I was using, in Audacity. I was using Anki to try to memorize, but I hadn't really settled on my whole kind of system that I'm using right now that's working very well for me. So let me see if I can open Anki too. And I can kind of show what I've been doing that's been working in Hebrew, that's been working in all sorts of other stuff. I'm going to move it off here so I can see first what I'm showing you all. So yeah, I have a thing. I kind of talked about this in some videos recently. So I have Hebrew with Claude that I think some of you can see. And this is stuff that was interesting to me. So the first one, I sat bolt upright in bed and was like, I should ask Claude about bugs. Now, just as a little bit of background for everybody, if you're not, if you're like, why is this guy talking about AI? Large language models are, turns out, fantastic for doing things with language They're not great if you want to know facts. They're not great if you want to think logically through something. They're not great if you want something that there's a lot of ways that they're not great that they're being implemented in a lot of people's lives, and I am very strongly against that. However, what they're really good at is coming up with a plausible sentence, and that is like kind of what we want to do with language learning. So it's hard when you believe the plausible sentences. Like if you get in this loop where you're in, generate plausible science fiction responses to a dialogue about, I don't know, a man who fell in love with an artificial intelligence. That gets into dangerous territory. When you're like, I want to know all the vocabulary around bugs in Hebrew, that's actually amazing. So this is one that I was building out just to give you an idea of sort of what it does. I asked Claude, I was like, give me all the vocabulary for bugs. I have my prompts in the sort of free prompt guide that I put on the website, languagejones.com/accelerator for my language learning accelerator. They're in my recent video. But this just gives you an idea of sort of what there is. Now, I don't know. I assume you can all hear me. Yes. Okay. And let me look at my desktop audio capture. That should work too. So you should be able to hear this.
חלק.
This is using HyperTTS.
חלקים.
And I added images manually from Google.
חיפושית. פרט משה רבנו.
And I just kind of went through. So this is an idea. Now, I thought, hey, what about processing text? And see, will this Anki deck be available to me as a Patreon? Why not? I like to tell people to build their own. I'm kind of building this out as I just look at things that I'm interested in. So, sexuality, hypotheticals, espionage, babies, sickness. Like babies, I was like, I want to know about changing diapers, bottles, like all this stuff. Artisan coffee, this one's a great deck. And I haven't finished adding images, and it looks like I actually incorrectly added my audio here. But that's fine. It's like artisan coffee, third wave, roasting, light, medium, dark roast, Costa Rica, Kenya, Brazil, like wet processing, dry processing, extraction ratios, all this stuff. Like it's specialized that you're not going to see this in a textbook, but you can generate it on your own in about 2 minutes. And then you have to go through and, add audio, add images, but this is how I'm kind of learning stuff. What I did before is I had the Routledge Colloquial Hebrew, and I'm going to make this one available. I may need to change some of my images. I hit on using freepik and using memes for a lot of stuff. So for instance, as I kind of move along down here, I think by this chapter I had started using memes. I'm highlighting things that I need to fix or that I want to remember. So for instance, I want to remember on this card, the pronunciation of עלייך is wrong and I have to fix it.
את לובשת שמלה חדשה, היא מאוד יפה עליך.
Right, that's not quite right. But I also want to remember zot, or he, and not zot. So I actually should highlight that part for myself as well. So you can build these out however works for you. I guess this is the orange I was using. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. And I thought, this is great. What I did, though, is I manually input everything from the Routledge Colloquial Hebrew textbook, which is actually, while I think the second edition on paper is literally the worst edited, worst formatted book I've ever seen in my entire life, the content is not bad. And so what I did is I went through, I used a Google Sheet, and I actually typed it all out by hand. And that was a process that took me like a couple hours for every chapter of the textbook. And I will say, as I'm going through, I'm almost done with the textbook. It's quite good material. It's only about a vocabulary of 800 to 1,000 words, so it's not a lot, but I feel like I have a much better handle on the grammar, and I have a much better handle on these words, and I can get around and communicate. And then all the stuff that I did with all this Duolingo vocabulary, I have something to scaffold it on now, and I can actually use all of that vocabulary where it was just kind of rattling around before. So I had this idea the other day. I've been talking with a friend of mine who I used to work with at Rosetta Stone like 15 years ago at this point, maybe more. And, avid language learner. And we were just talking about AI, and I was talking about the stuff that I was using. I should be careful to say LLMs. It's not artificial intelligence. It's just large language models. And I was curious about what they can do. And the new generation of things can do some really interesting stuff. So in my new video, what I did is I actually scanned a page. Like I filmed myself doing it while I was thinking about making the video. Scanned a page from La Chute by Camus. And I was like, can you make Leipzig glosses for this? And it did, and I was amazed. But it also was like, oh, this is La Chute. Do you want more? Do you want whatever? Point is, took a photograph and immediately processed the text. Now, I had tried to copy and paste Farsi into a Google document or something. You can't do it from a PDF. It just doesn't work. It's not good. And I have this little workaround that I just hit on, and I started building out the Routledge Colloquial Farsi because I want to come back to Farsi. And so let me, actually should fix the name of this deck, but I just tried to use use Claude to extract from this textbook. Now, it won't do it with a PDF, but I found if I just take a screenshot, a JPEG of some of these pages, it will just extract the content for me. So it's like, I want all the dialogues, all the vocabulary, put the vocabulary first, then give me the dialogues, give me the exercises, and I want cards in this format. And it did it. So I want to be clear here. First of all, a lot of these things, like, it recognizes, like, the stuff is already in its resources, so I'm not feeling super bad about, like, what if I'm uploading something that, you know, is a copyrighted material. Like, it already knows it. It was like, is this the Routledge Colloquial Farsi? Because it looks like it. So that's one thing. The other thing is, like, buy the textbook if you're going to do this. I think I might, I'll send a link to it. This is a fantastic book. The explanations are really good. So, you know, you miss out if you just try to memorize the exercises alone. But what I found is, like, I could build out a deck. I'm trying to change this to, like, a better Nastalik, but I have or Nastalik. I can't even say it in Farsi. But this is like, before I've even added any images. Now, I'm hearing, like, this is it's adding, like, an izafa. I need to fix the audio. But the audio is automatically generated, and this is so much better than what I was doing before. So what I'll say is, like, this process is it's not perfect. It's got some issues. I do have to keep going back to Claude and be like, is that all the examples? And then it's like, oh, I actually left out this page and that page and the other page. But it's quite good. So for instance, I said, like, you know, it built out one for me, and I said, remove lines from Unit 1 because I wanted Unit 2. If you didn't, you know, I noticed you didn't include full paradigms for some of the examples, so it included man in jom, but not to enjoy, and the rest of the paradigms in the example box. And then Claude is like, oh, let me go back and let me think through this. And then it has this list of all the things that it kind of did wrong. And then went back and added it. So I want to show you, like, the end result of this was I have a CSV. I have all of the content here from this is Unit 2. And I actually asked for it to give me, like, in the notes, like, what unit is this from? And then it's got little bits, like, it's a reduced form, like chubi, chube, chubim. I've got my English, which is what I'm trying to, you know, prompt my Farsi from. Because what I found is when I was doing it where I was recognizing Farsi, like, it wasn't more beneficial to me than just being able to generate it from the English or from a visual or from some prompt. And when you can generate it, for me, especially if I'm listening, I can recognize it. Now, I will say I'm trying to add this audio, make sure the audio is good, because that was an incredible boost for my comprehension and retention. And what I found is when I did full sentences from the Farsi textbook and didn't have images and didn't consistently have audio, when I did have audio, it was something that I cut up from Audacity, from the companion that goes with the textbook. It went okay. I actually didn't really retain a lot of that stuff, especially when it was full sentences, because I was trying to do too much stuff. So memorizing the vocabulary on its own first, and then in context of sentences, as I scroll down here, you know, like, I remember trying to learn pedaretun cheli choshtibe, mashallah. But it just wasn't sticking. It wasn't sticking in a way where I could actually generate it. This is stuff where I look at it now, I'm like, I remember studying that. I remember, what do we have here? Jashne Tavalot. Like, I remember studying that, but I couldn't generate it if you asked me to say birthday party in Farsi. So I had been meaning to get back on things, and I have seen so much from Persians in New York, in Los Angeles, in Toronto, in the diaspora, and also obviously in Iran with everything that's going on right now with the sort of ongoing war. I thought this is probably a good time to be a little bit more on top of my Persian, be a little bit more on top of solidarity and hoping for peace and prosperity and freedom and life for people. Good time to go back to Farsi. So this is, I'm going to take a look at the chat here, and I see in the comments, so it's kharak, not kharak. Exactly, this is the thing about using LLM. So that's something actually new and just didn't bother because that card I'm probably going to bury almost immediately. But it does require actually going through and correcting things, and I don't necessarily recommend this approach without a baseline either of understanding the phonology or understanding the grammar. I find, like with my Hebrew deck, for instance, if I go back to that, as I go through it, I really have to correct a lot of the audio. So if I look at, let's see, 12, if I go to browse, you'll see I have these tags here for like fix. I have like notes for myself, like fix the audio. You'll notice I said I don't like doing full sentences, but here I have these full sentences. This is chapter 12, I think, of the textbook. Yeah. So once I get there, I'm like, I should be able to handle this. And let's see, browsing here, I have a bunch of these where I'm like, fix this. So for instance, like this, I think doesn't pronounce shmurot. I have to check it, but you'll hear the audio is not quite right.
הכיסאות האלה שמורות.
And what I have to do is actually go in and add all of the vowels and then tinker with it until I can get it to pronounce it correctly. And I found that Azure, I really like the voices, but Google will actually pronounce what you say. So a lot of these, let's see, Google will kind of pronounce it a lot like Azure, and some of the others will just make the same errors consistently. So for instance, there is no second person feminine singular in anything it ever produces. So if you have a sentence that's talking to a single female person, it will always pronounce aleph tav as et and never as at. So it's just a lot of stuff. I see I don't even know, a super chat, a super thanks. Thank you so much for that. And I love saying +1 to peace, prosperity, and language learning. May we all be able to have peace, prosperity, and intercultural understanding and communication. So let me see if I can actually do some of this. And then this is going to be a short one because I'm going to go to jiu-jitsu. I'm going to go, struggle, hug my feelings out. So let's see. I have my preview. I'm looking at Kojai Hasid. And please don't judge my pronunciation because it's been a long time of not doing great. So you have this party game. Who am I? I hated this exercise when I did it. It's also outdated because it's supposed to be like the British Prime Minister. It's a different person now. But it's teaching vocabulary here. So like I might want to take this page. I might see how long this chapter is. 28, 29. Because it'll only let me upload about 20 images. Oh, this is nice. It's got a little reading passage. Now, I don't think I need to use the end of this because it will actually just extract this correctly for me, which is wild. I can't copy and paste it. I mean, you see, even clicking on it, it doesn't do anything. Oh, I see discussion in the chat. It's actually hypercorrection. Khark is right. So this is, what I hear is I can be technically correct, which is the best kind. But I may, in fact, upset everybody no matter what I do, which is just another Thursday. So let's see. I want to decide what's the best way to do this, but what I'd been doing is like taking a bunch of images, and then I do the answer key in the back of the book because this one has an answer key. The Persian one does. It's fantastic. So that's going to be a few cards. So maybe what I do is I do this in 2 batches and say like, now we'll do unit 3. I'm going to start with 1 batch and then I'm going to add to it and like simplify. But it's kind of crazy. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert in prompt engineering, but what I'm finding is I just kind of slowly work my way towards slightly better. And sometimes that means I run out of credits and I have to wait a few hours because I'm just being a little slow. So let's see, export, this page, unit 3, where are you from? This is page 29. I'm doing this with the very fancy way of just adding a number. And I want unit 3, not as PDF, as JPEG. And I'm going to do this for a few of these pages, and then we'll keep going. So I'll talk while I'm doing this and hopefully not make any egregious mistakes. And then you'll see this is absolutely wild how quickly this does this. Compared to extracting the vocabulary. I mean, I did the entire Hebrew Routledge textbook by hand. Like, I legit was transcribing it by hand, which is great for actually learning some of the material. I don't think that was a bad thing. But in terms of the trade-off in time, like, I think there's definitely a benefit in terms of memorization. But in terms of your use of time, it's the benefit for memorization is not enough to be like, yeah, let me spend an extra few hours on this. So this is absolutely wild to me because this is like the ideal use case of technology for me. I'm not asking Claude to like be my friend. I'm not asking Claude to like tell me what I should eat, like, you know, a healthy diet or whatever. Because it's just going to generate a thing that's a plausible sentence. And that plausible sentence may be factually incorrect. It may be dangerous. But what it can do, again, is process language. And so if I want to say, hey, what's a plausible gloss for this Farsi? It's like, I've seen a bunch of glosses for Farsi. Here you go. So this is really, it's funny because, you know, I've gotten a lot of comments that are pretty angry about, you know, me even entertaining using AI for anything. I'm like, first of all, it's large language models. Second of all, I've built my own, like I've rolled my own. So like, let's chill out a little bit here. There are things that we can learn from this. I was big on this sort of vector space approach to things where it was like, you know, if you say king minus male plus female, like what's the nearest thing in the vector space? And you get queen, and that's amazing. So then do this with other dialects, there's other languages. I have a project that I'll eventually get back to. Numbers. Ugh. I have a project that I'll eventually get back to, which was looking at semantic shift in like Latin corpora, because I'm very interested in. I have this whole theory, which may be a crackpot theory, but it might not, about semantic shift and suppletion. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with suppletion, that's when you have a verb where the paradigm looks like it's kind of 2 different verbs kind of smushed together. So for instance, in English, we say go, but we also say he went. We don't say he goed, unless you're my toddler. So my thinking, you know, the question is, how does this arise? And my thinking is sort of informed by an approach called distributed morphology, which is that the syntax is operating below the level of the word, and very informed by my study of game theory and evolutionary game theory and game theoretic pragmatics. And so one way that you can think about this stuff is, and nobody tell, you know, the Linguistic Society of America or wherever I might submit a paper here, but one way that you can think about this stuff is that you have sort of an ecosystem of forms in competition for the same niche, right? So like, I don't know, rabbits and other rodents and like, or, you know, foxes and other predators eating these rabbits. And so the idea that I had was like, if things get so semantically similar that they become kind of indistinguishable, then your choice between them starts to be conditioned not on meaning, but on social factors like, I don't know, social distance, if I'm using like the tu or the vu form, politeness, whatever. And it may be also just drift, like maybe this one gets used more with third person and this one gets used more with first person, but it's not really like, it just is. So you have these suppletive forms in Latin, you have these suppletive forms in French. I mean, you have this in every language. And the question is like, can we model the coalescence of this suppletive paradigm where you have, I guess some people say suppletive, but the paradigm where you have like go and went as like, you know, to wend your way along slowly kind of stopped being all that different from go. And what you do is like you take a large language model, you do this like massive sort of vector space, you take the subset of words that overlap at like multiple time periods, and then you see like, are these moving closer to one another over time? And are they getting into the same neighborhood where they're actually potentially even confusable? I'd seen some scholars at, I think, SUNY do that. And they were looking at semantic shift over time. I thought it was brilliant. But at the time, I didn't have the coding chops to follow up. And so that's something that I've just been kind of sitting on for a while, but I'm going to do at some point. Point being, the part of this long digression is just that I think LLMs are really powerful and interesting and useful, and we should not be afraid of them, but we should use them for doing language things, not for, you know, making policy or telling people on, say, the government websites how to eat healthy foods or whatever, because it's just going to be like, here's a plausible sentence based on a massive set of other sentences. All right, so while I was talking, I have done this. I've taken these little PDFs. I think I put them in the right folder, and I'm going to add all the answers here for Unit 3, and it will, if my magic trick works, if it presto changeo, it will actually process the text and give me a CSV with all of the material. And I did this for Unit 2 because I didn't want to come on here and really embarrass myself, and it worked. And I actually went through and checked. I was like, this is all the vocabulary. These are all the sentences. So it seems like this should work, but you never know. For all I know, I'm going to try it, and Claude's going to be like, we're down today. Don't feel like it. Try back tomorrow. And that'll be fine too. Okay, so that's Unit 2, Unit 3. So let's see. I got my Claude here. Do I have... Yeah, see, I got all my stuff on screen, so I'm not sharing more stuff than I wanted to. And this is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's that 6 times 2 is 12. This should be actually all dumpable in all at once. So let's see. I'm going to take a quick look at the comments. Oh, Levantine Arabic. I haven't bothered with. I see in the comments I have a heck of a time getting any of the Google, Azure, etc. to pronounce Levantine Arabic. I just got the book that if you're studying Levantine Arabic, you need this book. It is a learner's grammar of Levantine Arabic. It is from Georgetown University Press. A big thanks to Hope LeGros for having them send it to me to evaluate on the channel. It is incredible, and this whole process could work with like the Routledge Colloquial Levantine, or ideally Al-Kitab. My Arabic accent is terrible. Al-Kitab, Fi Talam al-Arabiya, version 3, focus on Levantine, and then get this learner's grammar. It is fantastic. But you basically, if it's Google or Azure or whatever else, like you have to rewrite it in like Fusha script with all the vowels, and change all the things, so like change your kafs to hamza, whatever else, and then have it try to pronounce those words, and it's still kind of hit or miss. So you're going to have a lot more work to do, but at the same time, maybe that helps. What I found is now I'm getting very good at recognizing when Hebrew is just a garbled AI word and not a real word. And I'm like, wait, that should be, ibahel. Like I'll panic, I'll be afraid, and not like Avahavla or whatever it does. Okay, let's see. I stand corrected. I never heard anyone say that, but I trust that he was not my first. Okay. all sorts of good stuff. Still discussing charak and charak. Charak. I can't even say it. Like, I'm gonna try to avoid talking about bugs that way anyway. All right, let's do this. This is Unit 3. No, the attached files are Unit 3. I don't know how to prompt engineer. Unit 3. Please, because I like being polite to my LLMs, even though there's evidence that that actually makes it less effective. Please, what do I want to say? Do the same for Unit 3, generating a CSV for only Unit 3, because that was an issue that I had. For only Unit 3, let's see. With the same formatting and how do I want to say this? And ensuring you include all content from the vocabulary lists, exercises, reading comprehension passages, and grammatical explanations. I will see what it gives me. Let's just dump Unit 3 in here and see what we get. Okay. Wish me luck. See, Levantine Arabic is awesome. I've been studying it for years. Actually, one of the it's Levantine Arabic is so cool. And what I like about this grammar is they divide it into like northern and southern regions, and then give you a very clear explanation every step of the way. So what I didn't like about the Routledge Colloquial Levantine Arabic is they're like, you could say this or you could say that. They're like, the pronouns are these unless you want to use these, and they don't specify like this is northern, this is southern, this is Lebanon, this is Jordan, this is Gaza, this is whatever. Instead, they're just like, here's a lot of pronouns, and I'm like, I don't want to, like, I don't know how to like distinguish between whether I'm saying, you know, first person from the north and second person from the south. I'm just mixing everything up. This learner's grammar is spectacular and solves that problem. And I think with it, you could make the Routledge useful, but also Al-Kitab is the gold standard, and the third edition has Levantine. Let's see. Reading the comments here while this works. Have you found that AI is good at producing example sentences from a given word that you were trying to remember? Yes, I have. Say, for example, you're trying to remember the word bread. Chliop. Can you? This just comes to mind. Lechem. Can you get good examples consistently? Yes, I have found that I generally can, and it's actually the more with Claude in particular, what I found is that I could give it these domains and say, like, I want to talk about artisan coffee, give me all the relevant vocabulary, and then give me example sentences, and it's good. And when I look them up, when I spot check everything, because I was doing this more earlier on, it was consistently very helpful. It was stuff that was like in websites and documents and things that like I could actually immediately make use of. One thing that I was thinking about doing is taking something like Piece of Hebrew or Zman Ivrit, Hebrew Time, or Learn Hebrew by Word of Mouth, I think is the name of the podcast. Also very good, where they have these documents that have like, this is the course contents. You pay them for the course content on either on Piece of Hebrew Club or on Ko-fi or Patreon or whatever else, and then extract it and be like, give me Leipzig glosses for this, and learn the material and then use that real world content. So I'm not extracting, I'm not building audio from HyperTTS. I'm learning something and then engaging with real world content. So, okay, this has done some stuff. It's still running the command, but it is thinking. It says, let me read all the images carefully and systematically before writing anything. I love that it feels very human. It's not reading, it's not whatever, but it's fine. From my reading, page 29 to 30, dialogue 1, party game dialogue with vocab. Zan, na, Malia, Chi, Chie, Beritania, Motahel, etc. Page 31, vocabulary box, full list above, plus additional forms. Good. Page 32, nationality formula. So this is the crazy thing for me is it's like, I'm like, give me the Farsi and the English. And it's like, okay, hey, this looks like it's how to derive an adjective about nationality. I'll give you a few more if you want. Plurals of nouns, and it's summarizing. And this is correct. This is the grammar. So if you read the textbook that you have bought, hopefully, you will learn that's what it's teaching. But also some of this, I have a couple of grammars of Persian, and like there's different suffixes for animate versus inanimate and so on, depending on it. Some things come from Arabic plurals and so on. So this is saying plural of nouns, ha suffix, on, yon for animate, adjective plurals. That's all correct. So daneshjuyan, khuban, bozorgan, and yeah, so it's doing a good job of at least identifying what is being taught. Look at this. The commas in London, Downing Street number 10, and yes, thank you, split those cells. Let me fix them. This is why I've been very happy with Claude. I get kind of weird stuff from ChatGPT and from Gemini, and so I don't use them all that much anymore. Gemini, full disclosure, I use it for title and thumbnail optimization because it's integrated with YouTube. I don't only use that. I use TubeBuddy as well to kind of figure stuff out, but because YouTube is a Google product, doing things like hashtags in the description box to optimize browse traffic, I'm going to trust Gemini in that. Not sure that I should, but that's kind of mostly what I use it for. Okay, so this has spat out something. Zan, zindagi, azadi. His first word. Nah. Second word. Oh, okay. Nationality. What's British? So this is looking good. Farsi Unit 3, Anki. I think it's actually formatting the everything the same. You have a car. Informal. To mashin dori. He or she has a car. Mashin dore. I love it. Informal. Dore. For those of you who aren't studying Persian, you're just watching this for funsies. There's sort of slight difference in the grammar in informal and formal Persian. Let's just go ahead and open this in numbers and see what I got. And then I will, let's see, how many lines is this? This is 232. Now, I could ask Claude in another command to eliminate duplicates that are in my Unit 1 and Unit 2, which I might do, or I can just delete them as I go through Anki. But look at this. How long did that take? I mean, I was blathering about suppletion in Latin and did this absentmindedly and generated all of this, 232 lines. It is from the actual textbook. We can check. So let's take a look. It's in a book. The baby boomers now have been not baby boomers, the millennials have been activated by that Reading Rainbow reference. Okay, so vocabulary. Zan, na, meliat, chi, chie, beritania, mutahel. So we have zan, na, meliat, chi, chie, beritania, mutahel. It's doing pretty good, just as a spot check. This looks like we have pretty good success here. So I'm trying to line these up so we can kind of see them, Zan, na, meliat, chi, chie, beritania, mutahel, bale, khanam, kujo, kujoy. Kujoy I think I have in the Unit 2, so, if we're looking at this is about 200, we'll say 250 Anki cards that are much more memorizable, and they are, let's see, 14 chapters, did we say, in this textbook? Let's take a look at the table of contents. Anybody want to do some basic math? That is, 17 chapters. Amazing. So 17 chapters, 17 times 250, we'll round up, because some of these sentences I may want to split up. That's a lot. I don't know. Let's do mental math, right? 10 at 250 is 2,500 cards, so it's just under 5,000, which is a pretty decent starting point. Once I'm done with this, I could probably just ask Claude how many unique vocabulary words are there. The other thing, though, is the Routledge Colloquial Persian does this nice thing at the back of the book where they have an English Persian glossary that I think has more vocabulary than even the textbook. So once you finish all 17 chapters, you know, import this, eliminate duplicates, and you are rocking and rolling. And then you are at an intermediate level where you can just go off and do something else. I have novels that I'm certain that it could actually extract. So I'm very, very excited. Hopeful, because I have kind of poked at Persian off and on for years, and I wasn't doing it smartly or well or right. And what finally took me to being able to somewhat speak Hebrew has gotten me, like, I'm very hopeful that it'll work for Farsi as well. I'm trying to apply it for French and Italian right now, by the way, because I realized French and Italian, I was getting by on like confidence and cognates. Maybe I should make a t-shirt, but like just gonna make shirts for myself. Confidence and cognates, where I'm like, just understand French really well, and I can kludge together sentences in French where I can make myself understood. But what I didn't actually do was like learn French. I have French family. I speak French. I'm certified at B2 by the French government at least 10 years ago. I read books. I can use it, but it's like I see it and I'm like, oh, I know what that is. But if you ask me to say it, I don't know. Like I'll paraphrase it into something that I can already say. So I'm trying to get better at that. My plan, since I'm looking at since I have some sponsorship stuff from Lingoda, who I love their classes. My plan, and they're not even paying me to say that. I should have them pay me to say it on the live stream. But my plan is to kind of do a similar thing with their content, memorize. And what I've been thinking about doing is when I go back, because I was looking at Italian, I wanted to go like, I don't know, take the C2 exam, or in France or in Rome. Make a video about that, and that's sort of living the dream with having a channel where you talk about languages. That becomes part of the business. But in sort of service of that process, what I was thinking about doing is using this process with like Lingoda's material, memorizing stuff, learning it in Anki before I take the classes. Then when I take the class, like I can actually really participate because I've memorized vocabulary. The other option is like take their classes and then do all the extraction manually or otherwise. I've just been copying and pasting in French to see if I could, have Google automatically translate or whatever, build out a spreadsheet that way, and it goes great. So basically, I'm just very excited about being able to use the skills of and the tools of learning science and the science of memory, and apply those to language learning using modern technology, using spaced repetition software, using best practices from each of those, and then using LLMs as sort of a, automate the busy work kind of thing. I have a book that's automate the busy work with Python, automate the busy work with Claude, and really kind of level up. And I'm finding that this is working very, very well for me. Hopefully it works very well for you. I keep looking at the chat here. That's why I look distracted. And I just, I'm going to be building this out in my accelerator course. A lot of people have signed up for that already for email updates. If you haven't received an email, do not worry. I have not sent an email yet. And I'm also building out a course on linguistics. So that's a digital course. I'm working with my editor on building both of these out this year. If you are interested in learning linguistics, www.languagejones.com/blueprint. It's going to be the language blueprint, and it will be a full Intro to Linguistics digital course. Right now, it's just you learn linguistics. I'm not going to give you a lot of homework. I will use a readily available and not terribly expensive textbook that people can get their hands on and do exercises if they want. And I've been talking with Dr. Benjamin Keep because we have this... He has this idea about accreditation for digital courses, and I was like, I didn't even think that was a thing that we could do, but it might be a thing that we could do. So keep an eye out on that. If you're interested in learning linguistics, it's not accredited right now, but it is going to be interesting and fun. LanguageJones.com/blueprint. And if you're interested in getting like everything for building out, your own self-directed language learning. LanguageJones.com/accelerator, which I hope you can spell. That's ACCELERATOR. And I have a free prompt library. It's like 7 prompts for how to use LLMs more smartly than teach me Spanish. So you can grab that, and or not. It's fine. And then eventually I'll send emails out to everybody who's given me their email address and say here's updates on the course. Here's how you sign up. But you can join the waitlist on all of those. I'm super, super excited about it because I feel like it's doing something great. And I'm going to have a new video coming out, by the way, where I'm talking about why I'm doing stuff this way and how linguistics is in absolute free fall. I'm working very hard to make that not, angry man rants at at university. But I want it to be what's actually going on? Why are so many people leaving the field? Why is the LSA financially insolvent? That's the Linguistic Society of America. Why are there what's going on in linguistics? Why is it so hard in academia right now? And what does somebody do if they want to learn linguistics? Which at the moment is going to be, come learn with me. So let's see. Did I happen to show what the initial prompt was for generating the CSV? I listen, this is what I was saying when I'm not the prompt engineer, the best prompt engineer in the world. So I used a few. So I was just trying to see what worked. I'm this is an image of a page from a textbook to teach Farsi. It's a short dialogue and vocabulary box. Extract the vocabulary in the dialogue, provide a CSV with English, Farsi, and transliteration. Then I was can you change that? So I said, I want to add to this, format it so it can best be used for an Anki deck to learn Farsi. The preferred format is one with these columns. Right? That could all have been one prompt. Then it asked me a bunch of questions to sort of optimize it, which I thought was great. And then it spit one out, and I was like, that's amazing. I did different things for Nastaliq font, which was just me digging around with the font library on Mac. And I said, here's another page, add it to the content from the CSV. And when I was like, wait, that worked? What? Then I was like, here's a folder, try this. And it did it. And then I was like, okay, but make sure you have all the words. So I'm kind of slowly building up how I do these. But you can kind of cycle through until you get the right results and then say, keep doing the same thing. And that's what I did also with my Hebrew decks, where I'm like, give me bugs, give me coffee, give me fuel, give me fire. People are like, I like your channel. I'm like, I don't know if it's just neurodivergence, man. But babies and espionage, spy babies, now I can talk about that. Or give me a few months, because you see I have none done here. This Hebrew with Claude deck, by the way, it's 11 different topics. It's probably 1,000 or more vocabulary words. It's just amazing. So I'm finishing out the Routledge Colloquial Hebrew. Then I'm going to kind of fold these subdecks into one another, and it's great. But this stuff is wild. All right, I'm going to finish up because I have to go roll around on the ground a bit and think about my choices. Let's see. With the rise of LLMs, you would think they'd be more important than ever. I feel like that's a response to something else that I missed. I see a budding historical linguist here. Hebrew, good to know, and so would Greek, Latin, Portuguese, Italian, Sanskrit. Greek, Latin, Sanskrit, Hebrew. That's a classicist or a historical linguist in the making. My next more ambitious thing is Aramaic. Can this help with Aramaic? And if it does Aramaic, then I just am going to start getting punchy and be like, what about Ugaritic? Can we do Ugaritic now? No idea where this ends, but if it's online, it's been scraped and processed and it's there. And I did poke around with some Aramaic for Gemara, and it was yeah, here's some keywords that you might want to know, and it was correct. I was like, this is absolutely wild to me. All right, so I see coffee. Good experience with AI, prompting me to do SL. Interesting. AI prompt thyself. Exactly. That's actually not great advice. So I'll finish with this. I was looking at, as I was building out the scripts for these videos on using AI, where I lost subscribers. They left me angry comments. I tried it. I was like, what are good prompts for learning a language? And they would spit out like, ask me to like coach you on Spanish. That's terrible. That's terrible. When I say, here's a page from a book, generate Leipzig glosses and idiomatic translations, that's amazing. And you get actual Leipzig glosses that are almost always very correct and usable. And then I'm like, okay, now, extract these sentences, extract the vocabulary, put the vocabulary first in this format for an Anki deck that uses this format, and then give me all the sentences later. And then you just absorb the material. So I'm reading books that are above my level right now because I can extract it and use it to learn. Before, I'm like holding the book open, I'm trying to underline stuff. I got a dictionary open. I'm trying to like, oh, this word means this. And then I got to figure out like, do I memorize that? Do I just keep reading? Here, I could just dump it all in. And then I know I'm going to learn it in 3 to 6 months. And then, just read and then revisit the content that I was interested in the first place. So that's part of what I'm doing with my sponsors, where I'm like Lingoda, LingoPie, like that's what I'm doing. I'm dumping in the content and figuring out how to actually get it in my brain, and then I go back and re-engage with that material again. And it's fun because it's interesting material. All right. Roll around on the ground a bit, code for jiu-jitsu. Not even code, man. I'm just... we're all doing the G-roll. All right, so let's see. I'm going to look at these, and then I'm going to head out because I really don't want to be late. Sign language, I am so curious if it can do ASL or other varieties of sign language. I hadn't even thought about that. I may see, that might be one where they generate images. Like that may be like a more of a Gemini kind of question. And my fear is that they generate images that are wrong, where it just is like, it looks like a diagram of somebody using sign language, but it's just not correct. And I think, yeah, I also see sign language sounds like that's the one you really need an actual teacher for. I agree. And also, like, just support the people who are teaching it. It's such a small niche, and there's some people doing really, really good work. But I won't say, like, you could probably scrape... I'm going to think about this, because there's a lot of stuff online that you could probably scrape and figure out how to put into an Anki deck on your own, where you don't even really need... you don't need AI for it. All right. Routledge Colloquial Aramaic. There are people who speak Aramaic now as like modern, like as their native language. Slightly different variety of Aramaic that I'm interested in. All right, thank you all. This was I said it was gonna be a quick one. I'm already running over time. Hope you had fun. I had fun. And again, here's to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Right? Here's to people being able to live free and safe and sound and study, and let's all be able to communicate a little bit better. And with that, I'm going to thank you all, and I'm going to stop streaming. So I say, love you, bye. No, really look forward to seeing all of you on future live streams. I'm trying to get back into it, and really, really appreciate it. I'm just going to kind of soft pedal here for a little bit as I try not to cut off the end, but also,